Why did Dave Filoni include the Ahsoka on Coruscant story arc in the Clone Wars Season 7? In this video, I'm going to share his detailed thoughts on the subject, so let's get right into it.
Trace and Rafa are two girls that live in the underworld of Coruscant. They represent kind of the average citizen that's going about their daily lives, and I wanted to show that in many ways the Jedi were out of touch with those people. That Ahsoka's taught that they're keepers of the peace and that they have this great job and that they police the galaxy, but they've gotten so top-heavy that they don't even realize that most of what they're doing isn't helping the average person, and that the average person has no contact with the Jedi Knight. The average person really doesn't know what they do, and from afar it can seem like they're not actually doing a lot of things to help them.
And this has to be one of my favorite parts of this entire story arc, and that is the fact that we get to see the common people and their perception of the Clone Wars era Jedi. It truly informs Ahsoka's character and helps her develop into that character we see in Star Wars Rebels.
Trace is the younger, slightly more naive but ambitious Ahsoka, and Rafa is the potential, slightly bitter, going dark, doing whatever it takes to achieve an end possibility of who Ahsoka could become. So they represent two different possible characters that Ahsoka could be at this crossroads in her life. Really, I think Ahsoka, as a young person, wants to fit in, and her worldview is getting challenged by these two girls. And her worldview was just kind of broken by the Jedi. So what does she do, and where is that going to end her up? And those are the questions that I wanted to kind of attack as we see her making these life decisions heading towards the end of the war.
I love the fact that Filoni points out here that Trace and Rafa are two different characters and two different directions that Ahsoka could head in. Is she going to be the more positive and optimistic Trace, or is she going to fall more to the dark side and operate more like Rafa?
Trace and Rafa, they're an interesting pair. They're doing what they need to do to survive. They probably feel, even though they're on Coruscant, if there's a bright center of the universe, we're in the places farthest from. I always felt that we all feel that way. I love my home. I love where I grew up, but I had to get out. And I think it changes your perspective when you take your first step into a larger world and you see the world as other people experience it, and different cultures, different customs, different ways of doing things. It gives you appreciation for where you're from, but also an understanding and a compassion for where you are and what other people deal with. And so all these things that we experience make up our stories, make up Star Wars. When Rafa describes the Jedi and they swoop in chasing Cad Bane and Zero down the portal, and they're doing these amazing things and everybody's watching in wonder, and then it goes terribly wrong. The point is that the Jedi, they're not always invested in these average people to understand it's gone terribly wrong. And Ahsoka gets it pretty quickly because she's had that experience with the Jedi herself, where she feels wronged by them. So she's relating to these girls, and when she finds out that they don't agree with these Jedi starting these wars, they don't see how it helps them, well, the first thing you're gonna do is not tell these people, well, hey, I'm a Jedi.
Again, another really important part from the story arc is the insight we gain on the average person's opinion and thoughts on the Jedi. Yes, Trace and Rafa are jaded. Their parents were killed indirectly by the Jedi, so you might think that their situation is unique, but you have to remember that the Clone Wars is a galaxy-spanning war, and there are going to be tons of average citizens out there that have been negatively impacted by the Jedi in some similar manner.
The big Star Wars of it all, we could get caught up in all of that and having the Force. It's just about relating to what people experience, what kids really experience, and no one wants to be an outsider. You want to be seen, you want to be heard. People have different levels of that, but kids go through a lot to feel accepted. They do crazy things, stupid things, wonderful things at times. And so you're always trying to relate your story back to these experiences so kids watching go, I get it, I understand why she's not showing her ability. But then when she can help, and she does in little ways, because she can't let bad things happen to them. At the end of the day, for Ahsoka, even though she's left the Jedi Order, she cannot, in my opinion, deny that she was raised there and it has made a profound impression on her. She's going to do the right thing. She cannot just look at people that are in peril and walk away from it. There's just no way she could do that. It's not who she is. In the episode arc, even though she's not part of the Jedi Order, she is acting very much like a Jedi. For me with Ahsoka, it was always important that as a young person, she's asking questions and she's not just following. that she can make up her own mind and that she can even go against what Anakin thinks. She has to be an individual. And to me, when you look at the Jedi in the prequel era, the one Jedi that has it most right is Qui-Gon. Because Qui-Gon understands that you can still love someone as long as you don't try to possess them, as long as you can let them go. He is selfless. Ahsoka is on a selfless path. And because Qui-Gon taught Obi-Wan, taught Anakin, taught her, that teaching is in her. She gets the benefit of Anakin and Obi-Wan. Both of them teach her throughout the course of her life. And so she has kind of a nicely balanced view of things, where a lot of Jedi, I don't think, have that. So Ahsoka's tied to all of that, but she's making her own decisions outside of those character arcs. But I have to look at the whole thing and piece it together and bring it to a conclusion here in these last 12 episodes.
So a great explanation by Filoni as always. But that said, was this story arc slow at points and even repetitive? Well, yes, it was. But overall, there's some fun moments in these episodes, and without a doubt, we get a lot of character development for the Ahsoka character. She has learned a great deal and is now going to carry that into the Siege of Mandalore. As always, folks, I'm Mike. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.